Very pleased to have our next guest, Bobby F. Kimbrough, Jr. He's a life coach, an author, a motivational speaker with over 30 years in law enforcement. Bobby Kimbrough, Jr. has served his country and community working with local, national, and international agencies to impact the lives of many. And he has just written a brand new book that probably should have people paying attention. And we welcome Bobby Kimbrough, Jr. to the Mike Schickman Show. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, sir. Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. You know, you ever feel like you walk into a movie and it's just over the top and you're wondering how the heck it got this way? Well, that's how our lives have become nowadays, because it doesn't seem like you know, the officers I know in the police departments around the country, and I've lived in a number of different cities, the black people I've known over the years, there just seems to be a disconnect between how folks are taking being arrested or being and how the police are going a little bit over the, well, I don't even say a little over the top, or going over the top in making a bad situation worse.
Well, you know, I agree with you on that. You know, in the last 30 years of my experience, the last 20 years as a special agent of the U.S. Department of Justice, I've seen the shift. I've seen the atmosphere tighten. I've seen how the lack of respect. I've seen a lot of different things take place, and that's what inspired me to write the book toward the end of my career, hopefully trying to save lives.
Well, Bobby, you have been, it seems, in every town I know of in North Carolina, talking the talk about this. And your new book, it's just out, called Surviving the Stop. White people may not understand what you're talking about, but I have too many friends who've been stopped DWB over the years in northern communities and southern communities and right here in this community. Explain to folks what you're talking about and what you're writing about.
What I'm talking about and writing about is that we all come to the table with a sense of biasness. That's a human nature. But sometimes our bias controls our decision making. Sometimes our biases, we don't really see what we're really doing. And I'm not saying that all police officers, because they're bad preachers, they're bad lawyers, they're bad every profession that we know of. What I'm saying is that the side of the road, when a police officer stops you, whether you think he's right or wrong, is not the place to become defiant. It's not the place to decide I'm going to stand up for my right. You can do that, but that's a personal choice. But what I tell my children, all 5 of them that are licensed driving, African males, I tell them, do exactly what the officer requests of you. If it's not right or your rights have been violated, we will adjust that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in a courtroom, not on the side of the road.
Unfortunately, it gets heated very quickly. And I don't really know if men are as bad as women in this situation, because I have seen women mouth off to a police officer, and I would probably like squeeze my wife's mouth shut if I got stopped, and I'm an old fat white guy.
Yeah. Well, see, you know, a lot of dynamics takes place when a police officer stops you. You have a chance to change the atmosphere, change the outcome. An officer has a lot of leverage and leeway. He can give you a verbal warning, a written warning, a citation. But sometimes we tend, not always, but sometimes the situation gets escalated. And if the officer stops you and has the legal authority to do exactly what he's doing, if he gives you a lawful command, you have 2 choices, choice or force. At the end of the day, you would stand better to make the choice, I'm going to do this. If you feel it's wrong, let's take it up Monday. The atmosphere...
I'm losing you, Bobby.
The gap is just widening.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And the other thing is that, you know, all of us, well, maybe 98% of us, have gotten a speeding ticket. And if you've had it more than once, you know pretty much what the deal is. Stay in your car, get your driver's license and registration, and just hold them up outside the window. They want to see your hands. And this has nothing to do with black or white, Asian or whoever. This is what, and I'll tell you what, now, you retired after 30 years. There's one job I would not want to have today, and that's as a police officer.
It's a dangerous job. You can't exist without law enforcement. I mean, we've got to learn to either coexist or conflict. The conflicts that we're having is causing lives. And it's time for us to coexist, have real conversation in the communities, white, black, Hispanic communities, and have conversation with police department. Training has to be an ongoing thing.
What have your former or your friends who are former compatriots in police departments, what do they tell you?
You know, I've had two different points of view. The agency that I come out of, a lot of guys say, hey, tell the truth, give it to them straight. A lot of the African-American agents or officers will tell you, make sure you tell the truth, that a lot of times this does take place. But when it takes place, give them something, a tool that they can survive what they're encountering. Not combativeness, not thinking you got to have the last word, not thinking you got to be disrespectful. Give them a tool to do just what you're saying, survive the stop. Because at the end of the day, the objective is to continue on with your life after the stop.
And that's the officer's desire.
Exactly.
He wants to survive the stop, too.
Exactly. At the end of the day, he wants the 1042. He wants to check off and go home because he's a human being. He's a father, grandfather, son, daughters. They want to survive the stop as well.
We have so much dash cam video now. But unfortunately, and the media has done very poorly about this, they don't run the entire video. They show it from the exact point of conflict, so you don't know what happens beforehand. And you only see the grisly details of what happens at that particular moment. It is awful what's happening to innocent people, but it's also awful what's happening to innocent cops.
This is so true, so true. What I always suggest is that let's see the entire video. Let's have all the reports in. Let's have a complete investigation before we render a judgment. Because so many times we rush in. We actually react rather than responding. And if we start responding rather than reacting, I think that we'd be in a better state, a better place. Let's get everything in. And when there's an officer that has done something egregious and done something wrong, he or she should be penalized with the full penalties of the law. I agree with that. But if they haven't, if they've done their job, let's not crucify them for doing the job.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever, in all of your years working in law enforcement, had this kind of case happen to you?
Yes, all the time, several times in my career, when people see me driving up and down the road when I'm coming from Georgia into North Carolina, they don't see a special agent with U.S. Department of Justice. When they stop me on the highway, they see an African-American male, and I give them due respect. And I say, sir, here's my license registration. My license are in my wallet, which is in my bag. I'm a federal agent, and my weapon is in there. I explain all my movement before I make the move. I explain it and make sure they understand it and let them give me permission. But I've also been stopped or driving while black. I've also, most recently, before I retired 2 months ago, I shared this experience traveling on an airplane, getting ready to board the airplane. We stopped at the gate. The lady says, I'm going to call down to the captain and tell him I got 2 armed agents traveling. She tells the captain that the captain comes up the runway, and automatically he starts talking to my partner who is white, and he looks at me and says, are you the armed prisoners that he's traveling with? And I looked at him and I said to him, sir, I'm traveling in an Armani suit and a family residence. Do I look like I'm armed? But I understood what happened to him. His unconscious, when he came up the ramp and she said 2, he just, in his mind, for that moment, couldn't think, okay, it's 2 federal agents. One of them have to be that. So I get it how sometimes people get caught with their bias. I get it. But we got to make a conscious effort to stop it.
Bobby, the name of the book, Surviving the Stop, it's out now on Amazon, but you're doing a lot of other things, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am.
Tell us about your other work as far as trying to bridge this gap.
I spend a lot of time in the community, in which I'm from, and other communities. I spend a lot of time speaking to churches, civic groups. Every year I adopt a school. Main Street Academy is one of them, where I go into the school system and try to make a difference, try to actually catch the problem at the root before the fruit starts. I spend a lot of time trying to change this because I'm grateful for the experience that I've been given, and I want to turn it around and give it back and just change what's happening. I believe that if I save one life, 2 lives, I'm happy.
How did you get into law enforcement, Bobby?
You know, I started out at Pfeiffer College, went to school, wanted to be a lawyer, got down there, and things didn't go the way I planned. It came home, took a job at the time, Kmart, got tired of loading shelves and cleaning up. So I went back to school, High Point, and they was having a recruitment with the police department in my hometown, Winston-Salem. Joined the Winston Police Department, and my career began there. And once I finished my undergraduate degree, started graduate school, I was at a job fair, and the federal government was looking for special agents. And I said, you know what? That's what I always wanted to be, a special agent with the federal government. And in 94, I left going to Quantico. Left Quantico. My first duty assignment was Detroit, Michigan, and a few other cities after that, and a few other countries after that. And here I am, 22 years later.
Well, we really appreciate, your book and your thoughts coming out, because this is something that we have to teach all Americans, both in the police, but also a little kindness, a little soft talk goes a long way. You know, I just read something about what Disney World does. You know, we all know they're the smartest folks around. And, you know, they keep a very strong eye on their employees so that they don't overreact to really nasty kids or nastier adults. And they also keep their eye on the people who go to Disney World to make sure that they're not pushing the button. They reward the good kids. It's kind of funny. It's like Santa, and they punish the bad kids. You know, they don't have the kind of service that the other people have. But,
Right.
you know, this book, I think, could be very, very important. It's called Surviving the Stop, to bridge the gap between law enforcement officers and the citizens they serve. Bobby, I know your book's available at Amazon. Do you have a website?
I do. That's BobbyKimbrough.com, B-O-B-B-Y, Kimbrough, KIMBROUGH.com.
Well, God bless you, and thanks for coming back. And come back and join us again, won't you?
God bless you. Thank you, sir.
That's Bobby Kimbrough, Jr., and go to BobbyKimbrough.com for more information.